It didn't feel how I thought it would. I had prayed for peace. I created space for it. I followed God's lead into margin. But when I actually got there, I panicked. And it's one thing to crave stillness, it's another to actually live inside it. And to look at your cleared calendar, your slower pace, or even your non frantic days and feel like you're not doing something wrong. And I thought that saying yes to rest would feel like alignment, but what actually hit first was fear. I think that fear set in because I didn't know how to sit still and still feel valuable in all of that. And I knew that I was being obedient, right? I knew that, but it didn't feel very productive. And I think that when you've spent so many years measuring progress, whether it's in business or your life, by the amount of noise and numbers, silence just doesn't feel safe. It ends up feeling like failure in disguise. And I don't know if you've ever been to this point and you've asked God for peace, but then secretly hoped that He would make it look like more momentum, just know you're not alone. So there came this moment in my life, and more specifically in business, that I knew that I couldn't build this next season of my life the way that I built this last one. And I've been stepping into this season where I really want to prioritize my family. Not that business isn't a priority, but I want to figure out how to go into this next phase of opening the doors again to Eden and Empire in a way that I'm able to raise my kids without resenting the pressure that comes from running a business. I want to actually be present with my boys, and I want to be present in my faith, not just my family, with my husband and in my own body, like to build a business that I don't need my burnout in order to keep working. I think that it's something that I prayed for a long time. So I ended up building this margin on purpose, right? Like it was very intentional, but it wasn't, I wanted to do it from a place that I didn't feel like I was drowning. Um, so I wanted to do it in a place that came not from drowning, but because I finally stopped letting the world dictate what enough looked like. And the minute that this noise stopped, I feel like so did my certainty, which is so odd. And I think it's because it's a place that I had never been in before. But what kept popping up in my mind, and one of the things that I was led to when I was fasting so long ago, last year, but it feels like forever ago, is, in Isaiah. And that was one of the things that I opened up to. What it looked like for me is I was at my desk one morning and I had no deadlines, no meetings that were coming up. So I opened up Photoshop and I felt like I didn't know how to create without creating under pressure, like not this deadline or client request or something that was urgent. And it felt almost too quiet to be holy. But then that's when Isaiah 43:19 popped up again for me. And in this verse, it talks about, see, I am doing a new thing. And now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? And when that hit me, I was like, oh my gosh. I had made the space, but I hadn't made the shift in everything. And I was still trying to hold on to the silence and tried to fill it with strategy. And what I really needed in that moment was just stillness with no strings attached to anything. And I think that God gave the word through Isaiah to people. Well, not I think. I know that God gave this word to people when they were in exile, right? Like they were not thriving, they weren't clear, they weren't, killing it in our terms. They felt very abandoned in this space. They felt very forgotten. They were out of sync with everything that they thought that God had promised. And I can't tell you how many times throughout this journey of being a business owner that I have felt that. And still, God said, I am doing something new even now. Can't you see it? And I think that a lot of times when we're in business, we don't see it. You know, in this moment, God said, He didn't say, I will. He said, I am. And right there in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of what everything that essentially felt like a pause, I had this moment of clarity. And it was like, well, what if this new thing doesn't come loud? This next new season. And what if showing up didn't necessarily come with clarity or speed, right? What if it just looks like having space? And the stillness might actually be that assignment. That's the thing that I'm actually looking for, that God is leading me to. And maybe it's not this drip before I have this breakthrough. Maybe it is the breakthrough in all of that. And I thought to myself, like, maybe you just stopped recognizing alignment when it didn't come, with this massive feeling of urgency. I feel like if that's where you are, I've made a space for you, obviously within Eden and Empire. But if you're not at that place yet, right? Like if you're not within the community, or you're not ready to join when the doors open, I've created this reflection called the Quiet Questions for Big Decisions, because these are things that I had to go through in this moment. And it's not a formula, it's not a strategy, it's just space. It's for the woman who finally has margin and needs help trusting it. And I'm going to link it in the show notes. And I just want you to let that peace do what hustle never could. And we'll talk soon, my friend.